Bodies. Staying alive. Fuck your God. White America. American Pie. Barney and Friends. The Meow Mix commercial. Die, motherfucker, die. The Sesame Street theme song. These are some of the songs on the Guantanamo Bay torture playlist. The controversy over which has only come up in the past few years, despite the fact that it's not anywhere near the first instance of musical torture. Musical torture dates back to at least the 18th century, used by the British in their colonies. In 1939, by the Nazis in Poland. In 1949, by the Chinese in the Korean War. In the 1960s, by the Greek military. And in the 1970s, by the Pinochet regime in Uruguay. The list goes on. Since the Cold War, the CIA has been interested in what they call non-lethal weapons and no-touch torture. They're interested in ways of controlling, hurting, and even killing a man without leaving a trace. This was a response to their belief that the communist regimes in China and Russia had gained access to techniques of brainwashing and mind control. So they started becoming interested in controlling invisible forces, including sound. Experiments were conducted in 1957, starting from 1957, by the psychiatrist Dr. Ewan Cameron in Canada. They involved the use of sensory deprivation, electroshocks, drugs like LSD, and looped audio cassette tapes, with a devastating effect. Within a few days, subjects would be completely broken down, lose motor effects, be completely deranged, go back into an infantile state. In some cases, they would go into permanent comas and develop amnesia. Not in that order. What came out of this was the torture manual that the CIA uses today, which bypasses international human rights laws because they leave no trace. Simultaneously, the US military also experimented on sonic weapons, leading to reports on weapons such as the acoustic bullet, 10 hertz, which is very low, the size of a baseball that is projected 10 meters away, which can supposedly knock over someone and even kill them. And also the squawk box, a device that produces 2 tones beating at 2 hertz. That's 2 beats per second, and could sound something like this. Kind of uncomfortable at high volumes, but not really lethal. So how much of this is even possible? To answer the question, we have to go through the physical effects of the entire frequency spectrum. So our hearing range is roughly around 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. And that just means the number of cycles per second. Anything below 20 hertz is called infrasound. Anything above 20 kilohertz is ultrasound. And to give any idea of what that is, it's from here, which is barely audible, up to this. This is 16,000 hertz, and most of you probably can't even hear it. Yes? So anyway, let's talk about infrasound. Let's talk about the studies that have been done on it. For the most part, it's really unclear what effects there are on the human body, because it's based on testimony. So there have been reports on stress, intestinal pain, severe nausea, and nerve irritation. In experiments on chinchillas, who have more sensitive ears, there have been reports of internal bleeding and rupture of a tympanic membrane in your ear. Beyond that, however, there isn't really any proof that it does any lethal damage to humans. Frequencies within our hearing range, on the other hand, can cause pain at 140 decibels. That's almost twice as much as the legal exposure that we are allowed to be exposed to at 8 hours. They can cause increased heart rate, stress levels, and supposedly cause our eyeballs to vibrate. In one study in 1948, Two scientists were able to generate heat from a directed source at a high level. So imagine a sound beam, very directed, at a very high level, generated into heat. These two scientists used mice and rats, put them in front of this beam, and were able to kill them within 10 minutes due to overheating. At some point, sound becomes an explosive, which is where we get impulse noise, sudden, sharp sounds at high levels that can cause hearing damage and even damage to internal organs. This happens with gunshots and industrial noise, where the line between acoustic and explosive becomes blurred. One weapon that has come out of this research for certain is the LRAD, a long-range acoustic device that was developed in 2000, which can project sound in high volumes over long distances. It's been used for communication over long distances, crowd control, and in one instance, blasting Britney Spears at Somalian pirates. We don't really know what happened in this case, but the pirates were heavily armed with grenades, and they retreated. I'm going to leave you with just one thought about how the sinister history intersects with pop culture and permeates our daily lives, because I find these moments the most interesting part of this research. For example, the vocoder, which is famously used by Daft Punk in their music, was originally used by mathematician Alan Turing to encrypt the phone call between Winston Churchill and Teddy Roosevelt. The same thing was going the other direction with autotune, which was popularized by Cher in 1998 with her hit song Believe. Later on, the Ukrainian military was blasting it at high volumes to counteract propaganda from the Russians. Thank you.